Well, if you are into my Hermetic memory wall, or you're my kids in 20 to 40 years when I've gone to see the ancestors, I have a treat for you because today I'm going to go through and archive it and just read out everything that's on the wall just in case, so I have a backup. So here we go. So the Hermetic memory wall is on a Pythagorean setup, so the numbers 0 through 9, and then 10 is the tree of life with the tarot laid on top. All of this is my ocean altars, which we will not be getting into today. So let's start up here with number 0. And an old stone thought: what if our universe's life is just a source code of it all, flipping from a 0 to a 1, or otherwise known as this is Brahma's dream, and he's just going to turn over and sleep every cycle of the universe. And then this is from John 10:34. Jesus answered them, "It is not written in your law. Is it not written in your law? I said, ye are gods." And that is from Psalms 92:6. You are gods, son of the Most High, all of you. So that's 0. Then here is the oneness. And so the different things that 1 represents, like intuition, the point, the monad. There's a concept of finalism, which is the universe is striving for definite ends or one supreme end. There is the concept of abheda, non-difference, and liberation to the supreme self. And there is a quote from Eliot: "We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all of our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time." Turns out your treasure is at the feet the entire time. Here's Thomas 1:2. Jesus said, "Let one who seeks not stop seeking until one finds. When one finds, one will be troubled. When one is troubled, one will marvel and will reign over all." Here is the sign of what the Freemasons call God, the sovereign grand architect of the universe, which is a system I particularly like. For the oneness, here are various types of the oneness. Prana, Chi, Ashe, Rune in Tibet, the vital essence, also known as the air, breath, energy, wind. This is from Ifa, the supreme deity, Oluoron, owner of that which emerges from the invisible realms. Owinsala, the source of consciousness formed by the white cloth. Iamowo, mother of my hands, and Oduwa, the womb that generates character. And then from the Mahabharata, you should not sorrow for that which was bound to happen. And then a little one from Asimov tucked away here. I believe that scientific knowledge has fractal properties, that no matter how much we learn, whatever is left, however small it may seem, is just as infinitely complex as the whole was to start with. That, I think, is the secret of the universe. And also Isaac Bashevis Singer: the royal writer's gold mine is the outside world, its constant changes, its bizarre complications, the various human characters, man's passions, follies, errors, hopes, disappointments, especially in love. So now up to number 2, which is air, thinking, and octahedron, the line, the soul's relationship with the intellectual world. Some famous pairs are Osiris and Set, Loki and Baldur, Ahura Mazda and Ahriman. And then from the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus said, not until the male becomes female and the female becomes male shall ye enter the kingdom of heaven." Don't forget that one. Then the Maharaj says, "Love says I am everything. Wisdom says I am nothing. Between the two, my life flows." Eugene Odum said, "Matter circulates, energy dissipates." Melville said, "Found a family, build a state. The pledged vent is still the same. Matter and end will never abate his ancient brutal claim." Not quite sure why that one's there, except I really like it. Blake talks about, "Without contraries is no progression. Attraction, repulsion, reason and energy, love and hate are necessary to human existence." And then from the Law of One, the old channeled stuff, the Law of One blinks neither at the light nor the darkness. And then in Taoism, you have the 2 poles of Li and Kan, fire and the abyss or flowing water, and that would be heart and kidneys, or consciousness and sexuality. And basically the great work of Taoist alchemy is to combine those 2. And then one of my very first pieces from the Hermetic memory wall is this from the Great Plan, the Book of Documents. And water is a name given to what wets by flowing down. Fire is a name given to what blazes by rising up. Let's go up here to number 3. So there is the triple goddess from Benet's deck. 3 is water, a surface, an icosahedron, a feeling. And then some famous trinities are Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha, Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva, heaven, earth, and man, according to Taoists, the Father, Son, and the Holy Mother. Only patriarchs thinks it's the Holy Father. And then the 3 stages of existence, the maiden, mother, and the crone. And then according to the Seal of the Unity of 3, which is the first great book of Chinese alchemy, you have the 3 luminaries of the eye, the ear, and the mouth. That's some kid drawing there. And the 3 constituents of life from the pre-celestial state, which is a Taoist concept, is essence, breath, and spirit, also known as Jing, Qi, and Shen. And then according to the Secret of the Golden Flower, a more new Taoist idea, the elixir of life is Eros, Logos, and Intuition, also known as the seed, the spirit, and the thought, and what they do. This is from the Law of 3. This is from China. The 3 plenties are the bat, which represents happiness, a deer that represents honor, and the peach, which represents longevity. Then a great joke from Paracelsus, my old bombastic friend. God can make an ass with 3 tails, but not a triangle with 4 sides. And then from an old Chinese saying, a wily hare has 3 burrows. Favorite 3 there. Then Vivekananda said, desire, ignorance, and inequality. This is the trinity of bondage. And then these are the 3 famous maxims of Apollo's temple. And then the 3 kinds of wisdom, according to Hinduism. Sutta which is the wisdom gained by listening to others. Sinta the intellectual, analytical understanding. And Bhavana with the wisdom based on direct personal experience. Then you have Boehm's 3 levels of the cosmic hierarchy, the eternal imagination, the Virgin Sophia, and the eternal nature. This is from the Law of 1, which I'm not quite as into as it used to be. And then this is the Tao Te Ching, number 67, of the 3 things to teach, simplicity, patience, and compassion. And then again from Hinduism, the 3 gunas, which are Sattva, the revealing power, Rajas, the projecting power, and Tamas, the veiling power. And then this is actually from an actual old buddy, Bruce Damer. You can see my interviews with him, and this is what he thought about how the world worked. The field is everything connected, but to make a pattern gnome, you need the interconnectedness, the probability, and the memory. And then finally, this brand new one, which I really love from Dionysius, the 6th century theologian, and that there are 3 types of souls, or your soul moves in 3 different ways. It moves in circles, where it turns into itself and finds a unity of the beautiful and the good, which represents God. Your soul moves in spirals, and that's the learning and thinking that you do, that you learn more and more about how the universe moves. And the soul moves in straight lines, which means it goes forth to the things and people around you and learns from them. So I think that was a really beautiful one. Okay, and let's go to number 4. So 4 is Earth, it's sensation, the solid, the cube, the soul's physical relationship with the world. And then here, from Hinduism, the 4 duties of a Suromana: not to abuse others, not to become angry, not to injure others, not to beat others. And according to the Mahabharata, there are the 4 debts that you're born with: to the gods, who are pleased by sacrifices, to the rishis and the sages through study and austerities, to the ancestors through children, or being a good aunt to your uncle, I would say, and to people through kindness. And then here from the Native American tradition, the 4 animals: the black tortoise of the north, the white tiger of the west, the vermilion bird of the south, and the azure dragon of the east. And more from the Native American medicine wheel, and what that represents. Then you also have the 4 noble truths, and the 4 purusharthas, or aims of life: the dharma, the artha, and the kama, and the mashka. And then from the Gospel of Philip, about farming. God's farming depends on 4 things: faith, hope, love, and knowledge. Faith is the earth in which we take root. Hope is the water in which we are nourished. Love is the air through which we grow. Knowledge is the light by which we ripen. And then this is Jung's famous yin and yang of thinking, intuition, feeling, and sensing. And a little bit on the 4 elements. So I'm not as much into the 4 elements, but Aristotle on them and Proclus on them, whether they be hot, dry, wet, or cold, sharp, subtle, or mobile. And then this is Pythagoras and his one becoming two. Oh, well, as Mary the Jewess said about this, out of the one comes a two, out of the two comes a three, and from the third comes the one as the fourth. So known Pythagorean idea. This I didn't quite know where to put, but this is F.W.H. Myers, and this is from his Subliminal Self, Chapter 9, and this is a scheme of human faculties and pretty much an explanation of all of the supernormal abilities that humans have and how they might be working. I think this is a great chart. And the last is, the four elements of Buddhism. They would refer to it as solid, fluid, heating, and vibrating, which I think is a cool way to do it. Okay, and then here 5. This is from the Secret Book of John and kind of how the world is broken down. It's a little complicated. I won't go into the whole thing now, but you can read it in the Secret Book of John and the Gnostic Gospels. Here's how the Hermetica breaks down the universe into 5 levels, going from the gods to aeon to the cosmos to time to becoming. You can see how they're color-coded there for the different things they're related to. According to the Panakantantra, which is that great book of fables from India, the 5 evils are the lack of a ruler, revolt, addiction, affliction, and bad policy. And then the 5 sacrifices required every day, according to the Mahabharata, are study, oblations to Brahmins, ancestors, gods, and all beings. Oblations means offerings. This I've made a video about before, but this is from the Dhammapada, one of the early Buddhist texts, and it is about it's all a bunch of 5s. Cut off the 5, abandon the 5, and cultivate the 5. And so that means the 5 lower fetters of self-illusion, doubt, belief in rites and rituals, lust and ill will, the 5 higher fetters of craving for the divine realms of form, craving for the formless realms, conceit, restlessness, and ignorance. And cultivating the 5 would be the 5 spiritual faculties of faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. And then the monk who's overcome the 5 bonds is called one who has crossed the flood, the 5 bonds being greed, hatred, delusion, false views, and conceit. And before we get to my big 5 elements, here's the 5 elements of Hinduism. They would say earth, energy, sky, water, and wind. And then for something I just finished, I'm actually quite happy with. This is my 5 elements of Chinese alchemy, Taoist thought, because I'm not as much into the 4 elements because I think this 5 elements works really well. The fire burns to earth, the earth yields metal, metal when processed gives rise to water, water nourishes wood, wood fuels fire. And so these are the cycles of how they control each other. And then for each element, I have the things associated with them, and they are color-coded so that for every one, you can see how they relate to each other. So a little bit like my I Ching memory palace with the 8 trigrams that's above my computer. There's a video of that too. And also one thing to know is in the 5 metals, according to Chinese alchemy, of gold, silver, copper, iron, and lead. So that's pretty good on 5. And then for 6, the Toltec 6th sun and 3 of the people there. Then you have the 6 bridles. This is worth reading. This is from Lei Zhu, the 3rd great book of Taoism, after Shuangzi and the Tao Te Ching itself. So the 6 bridles. If you respond with the bridles to what you feel in the bit, with the hand to what you feel in the bridle, with the mind to what you feel in the hand, then you can see without eyes and urge without a goad. Relaxed in mind and straight in posture, holding 6 bridles without confusing them, you will place the 24 hooves of your horses exactly where you want them and swing around, advance, and withdraw with perfect precision. Now that would be some self-control. Here is Satsampat, right conduct, and there's 6 things to pay attention to if you want to be in right conduct: tranquility, self-restraint, tolerance, endurance, faith, and mental equipoise. So that's it for 6, and now we'll go up here to 7. This is a classic of alchemy. I've had this chart for a long time of how the 4 elements join into these 3 types of matter, and then a whole bunch of different little things about how they relate to each other. Could probably stand and redo this chart, but like I said, I'm more into the 5 elements these days. It seems like having metal makes a lot of sense to me. Here's Athena from that same deck. Here is a work by Dor and the Seven Fires prophecy of the Anishinaabe and the metals associated with that. Here are the 7 magical works of medieval occultism, works of light and riches, works of mystery and divination, works of science and skill, works of retribution and punishment, works of love, works of intrigue, and works of malediction and death. Here are the 7 types of Greek love, which has faded pretty badly, but that's an easy one to look up. Here are the 7 powers of the owl: prophecy, stealth, wisdom, death, and rebirth, protection, magic, and night. Here are the 7 goddesses of the liberal arts. Interestingly, they're often related to different celestial objects. Here are a bunch of different types of 7. 7 Pleiades, the 7 factors of awakening: sati, piti, or mindfulness, joy, effort, tranquility, meditative investigation, and concentration and equanimity. Then this is from the Christian Hermetic book, I believe, and how you transfer the 7 different levels of the chakra and what they become when you transform them. And that's it for the 7. Good. And then here's the 8. This is Timothy Leary's 8 circuits. Gurdjieff also had 8 circuits. This is from Ra again, and the Law of One. This is cool. This is the 8 cities, or magical powers: Anima, of changing your size; Mahima, of getting bigger; Laghima, of weightlessness; Gerhima, of becoming heavier or denser; Prapti, travel at will; Prakamya, achieve or realize what everyone desires; Isitiva, ability to control nature and organisms; and finally Vasitava, control of elements and natural forces. And then to the Buddhists, there's the Noble Eightfold Path. And then from Egypt, here are the 8 parts of the soul: physical body, spiritual body, name and identity, personality, vital essence or your double, your heart, your shadow, and your power and your form. And now we're getting close to the end. The 9 muses, of course. This is a nice quote from Zoroaster. Zoroaster says that number 9 is sacred and attains the summit of perfection. Egypt and Rome also had 9 major deities. That's from Crowley's thing on numbers. This is the Enneagram of 9 things from Gurdjieff. And then to the Egyptians, here's the Grand Ennead of their 9 major deities and how they're related to each other and who they are. Then this, I can't remember where I got that. And then this is my breakdown of the major the major planets and what they mean and all these things lined up on them over the years. And then for 10, I have 2 things for 10. I have this nice quote: proteins are social. At any given time, a protein is in complex with about 10 other proteins. As a biochemist, I think that's great. And then this is from that Evan Wentz book I've been reading. Here are the 10 signs of a superior man. So that is everything on the Hermetic memory wall in the Pythagorean fashion. So kids, if you're watching this, Papa loves you very much and hope you found this interesting. And everyone else that got to the end of this, thanks for hanging out, and let me know if there are any things that weren't clear or you want to get the sources for.